Welcome back to GSMC's Down by Contact Sports Podcast. I am your host, Jeremy Lapidus. Today is Wednesday, March 12th, if you were just tuning in. We just finished going over what the Minnesota Twins might look like next season after pretty solid offseason for them, again, if they can stay healthy. In this segment, we turn our attention to hockey. The world of hockey is going wild, right? The season is winding down. Just about 15 games remaining for each and every single team. We'll talk about where they stand, who's going to make the playoffs, and who could have the best record in the league. But before we do that, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net. Or if you're on YouTube, you can use that super chat feature. If you do either of those two things, a message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. If you do have a burning question about sports, anything at all that you would like to ask, go ahead and throw that in the comments. Throw it in the chat. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate everybody so much for sticking around, talking some sports with me here on a beautiful Wednesday, March 12th. But like I was saying, we are going to get into a little bit of the NHL, where the standings look at right now, post-trade deadline. As we stand right now, there is about 15 games. Most teams have played 64, 65, or 66 games in the regular season, an 82-game regular season. So we're looking at anywhere from 16 to 18 games left to play for each and every one of these teams. We are down to the stretch. We're going to start off with the battle for the President's Trophy. For those who don't know, the President's Trophy is for whoever has the most points at the end of the NHL season. 2 points for a win, 1 point for a loss in overtime, no points for a normal loss. Right now, there are three main contenders, and really there's two teams that have separated from the rest, but there's 5 teams that are within 10 points of that coveted trophy. Now, it does come with a curse. A lot of times, the team that wins the President's Trophy finds a way to lose in the playoffs. We haven't seen a President's Trophy team win in quite a while, but this year, there's a lot of contenders. So we're going to start off at number 5. At number 5, playing 64 games so far. At number 5, playing 65 games so far, we have the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers, 40-22-3, 83 points. The reigning Stanley Cup champions continue to be near the top of the NHL again. They are second place in the Eastern Conference for points, only behind a team at the very top of our standings. But at 65 games played, this is a team that is still a chance at the President's Trophy. If they continue to play great hockey the way they have, they've got a chance to finish with the best record in the league. The Vegas Golden Knights at number 4 here, same amount of points, 83 points, 38, 19, and 7, with 64 games played. So they've got an extra game to catch up to the Panthers. They could count that as 2 points, put them at 85 if they win. But the Vegas Golden Knights continue to be amazing. They have been a little bit disappointing last season after using that long-term IR strategy again. They fizzled out in the playoffs, losing a hard-fought series in the first round. They go down, and then they kind of disappeared this offseason. They were busy yet again at the trade deadline. They go out, make all the moves that you expect a contender to make, and they're back near the top of the league, at the top of their division, a hotly contested division in the Central. But the Vegas Golden Knights, 4th place as far as President's Trophy goes. But then the top 3, the real contenders. We have the Dallas Stars, 64 games played for them. They're at 42-20-2, putting them at 86 points, 3 points clear of the Panthers and the Golden Knights. This is a Stars team that I think is one of the more complete ones in all of hockey. They have a great goaltender in Jake Ottinger. They make some trades to bring in a guy like Mikko Rantanen. They give up Logan Stankoven, as well as a couple other picks and players, but the Dallas Stars continue to be near the top of the league. They've got a young core that's locked in for a long time. They give Rantanen an extension, everything he wants, and this is a Stars team that's going to be very dangerous. They're at 86 points. In second, we have the Winnipeg Jets. 66 games played for them, 45-17-4. Good for 94 points. 8 points clear of the Dallas Stars sitting at number 2. This really feels like more of a two-horse race at the end of the day between the Jets and the Capitals, both of whom have 94 points. The Capitals are ahead of them right now just because they've played one less game. They've got a game in hand at them. That could be an extra 2 points, an extra 1 point, depending on how it goes. So right now the Caps have that early edge, 65 games to 66 games, but they both have 94 points. The Caps 43, 14, and 8 have really been the surprise of the year. They barely snuck into the playoffs last year, but with Alex Ovechkin playing great hockey, you have Pierre-Luc Dubois coming out of nowhere to really come into his own. Alexei Protas and Connor McMichael, both with over 20 goals this season. Tom Wilson also over 20 goals. This is a team that has really been complete, fast, physical, and has great goaltending from Charlie Lindgren, who they extended, as well as Logan Thompson, who they gave a 6-year extension to earlier this season. This is a Caps team that's going to be very good and very dangerous when it comes to the playoffs. But when we turn our attention to the rest of the season for the President's Trophy race, I still think it's going to be between the Caps and the Jets. I think at the end of the day, the Caps have had this in the bag for most of the season, but I think the Jets are going to pull it out at the end. I think the Jets hold on to that, grab that President's Trophy spot, probably by a game or two, but it's going to be close. It's going to be very, very close down the stretch. When we talk about those divisions, in hockey, there's 2 divisions. The way it works is the top 3 points getters from each division find their way to the playoffs, and there's 2 wildcard teams from each of the conferences. So we're going to start off breaking down these divisions. In the East, there's 2 divisions, the Atlantic and the Metropolitan. The Atlantic division is a big mess right now. You got the Florida Panthers at number 1, 83 points, followed by the Maple Leafs at 81, the Lightning at 78. Those right now would be the 3 teams that automatically qualify for the playoffs, but not too far behind them. You've got the Ottawa Senators, 73 points, just 5 games back of the Tampa Bay 5 points back of the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Canadiens and the Bruins both tied at 5th with 68 points, 10 points back of the Lightning with about 20 games to go. It's possible for them to come back. When we're looking at these division contenders, it's always tough. The Lightning have had great goaltending. The Senators also been a pretty happy surprise this season, but I think at the end of the day, in the Atlantic, we're going to keep the top 3. The Panthers, the Leafs, and the Lightning. I think 5 points is just a little bit too big of a spread to make up down the stretch here, especially when the Lightning continue to play the way that they have this season. In the Metropolitan, I also think it's boring. You've got the Capitals way up top with 94 points. The Hurricanes behind them by 12 at 82, second in the division. The Jersey Devils, 76 points, 6 points back of the Carolina Hurricanes. And then the contenders to try and steal that last spot. The Devils lost their best player. That's going to be tough for them down the stretch. The Columbus Blue Jackets, 70 points, 6 games, 6 points back. That's going to be one to watch. The Rangers have 68 points. If they get hot at the right time, they can find their way in. And the Islanders, 65 points, barely on the cusp of being a contender in this division. I think really it's going to be a race between those 3 teams. I think the Capitals and the Hurricanes, they find their way in pretty easy. In fact, I think the Caps have all but locked up a playoff spot right now. Obviously, still playing for more, but Hurricanes probably also locked up a spot. The Devils need to hang on by the skin of their teeth. They need to survive without Jack Hughes. They need to survive without their best player. Right now, the Rangers and the Blue Jackets are right behind them. That's going to be a race to watch. I think at the end of the day, 6 points is a lot of points, but I think the Devils will find a way to hold on just because they have a big enough lead. If this was a 3-point lead or if it was a 4-point lead, honestly, it would look a little bit different. But 6 points with just about 15 games to play is tough to make up, and I think they'll find a way because they still are a good team even without Hughes. Getting into the Western Conference, the Central Division really has 4 guys that can make it. You got the Jets at 94 points, the Stars at 86 points, the Avalanche at 81 points, and the Wild at 78 points. The Wild have been a little bit slow down the stretch here, but they're going to get Kirill Kaprizov back soon. They're only 3 points back of the Colorado Avalanche, the Avalanche, who just lost 2-1 to the Minnesota Wild the other night. That was a massive game for them. Pick up 2 points in regulation. That is huge. cut the lead to just 3, game and a half right there, basically, for the Minnesota Wild between them and the Avalanche. I think the Wild come and take this. I think the Jets and the Stars are pretty safe. I think the Wild come and take that 3rd spot in this division, and the Avalanche fall down to a wild card position. They'll still probably make the playoffs, though. In the Pacific, you've got a really tight race, right? No team is pulling away with anything. The Golden Knights, 83 points at the top of their division. The Edmonton Oilers, 5 points behind them, 78 points. The Kings, 77 in 3rd, and then you've got a bit of a drop-off. The Flames at 70 points and the Canucks at 69 points. That is going to be a tough one to make up. Again, I think these division races are pretty much settled. A lot can happen, but I think the Knights, the Oilers, and the Kings, they find their way back to the top, back in the playoffs again. But then the wild card is where it really gets interesting. In the Eastern Conference, the Ottawa Senators, I think, are basically a lock. 73 points, 5 points over the number 3 team. I think they're going to get in just fine, but that second wild card spot is going to be a bloodbath. The Columbus Blue Jackets currently hold it at 70 points, but the Canadiens, the Rangers, the Bruins, and the Red Wings are all within striking distance. The Canadiens, the Rangers, and the Bruins all at 68 points, just 2 points back of the Blue Jackets here as we make it to the wild card race. The Detroit Red Wings, 2 points back of that at 66, and the Islanders at 65. I think with the goaltending and the just pure star power, I think the Rangers find their way to get in over the Blue Jackets. Would be a great story if the Blue Jackets get in, of course, with the Gaudreau tragedy that struck this summer. It'd be crazy if they were to make it in, but I think the Rangers find their way in over the Blue Jackets down the stretch here. In the Western Conference, currently the Minnesota Wild have a pretty hefty lead for that wild card spot at 78 points. The Calgary Flames at 70 points hold that second spot. Like I said, I think the Wild are going to find a way to win their division or finish 3rd in their division. So I think the Avalanche fall to the top spot in the Western Conference wild card race. But then again, a tight race for the last spot in the wild card, as it always is. There are 4 teams that are alive for it. You got the Flames currently holding at 70 points. The Canucks and the Blues, 1 point back of them at 69 points. The Utah Hockey Club, a brand new franchise moving from Arizona at 67 points. Those are your real contenders for here. Don't look now. The Ducks maybe find a way in. 63 points, they're not dead yet, especially with a tight race down the stretch here. Maybe they can find a way in, but at the end of the day, I think it's really a 4-horse race. The Flames, the Canucks, the Blues, and the Utah Hockey Club. I think the Blues find a way in. Their offense has been prolific. Their defense has been pretty solid as well. And I think just 1 point back of the Flames, they're going to find their way into that final wild card spot. So the playoffs look like, as I predict right now, the Capitals, Hurricanes, and Devils out of the Metro. The Panthers, the Leafs, and the Lightning out of the Atlantic. In the wild card for the East, the Senators and the Rangers take those final 2 spots. In the West, the Jets, the Stars, and the Wild make it in from the Central. The Knights, the Oilers, and the Kings out of the Pacific. And from the wild card, you have the Colorado Avalanche and the St. Louis Blues. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Who do you think's going to make the playoffs in the NHL? I'd love to hear what you think. And thank you everybody so much for tuning in to today's episode of GSMC's Down by Contact Sports Podcast. I have been your host, Jeremy Lapidus. We will be back tomorrow going over everything from around the world of sports, all of the major breaking news from the NFL, from the NBA, from the game of the year potentially between the Celtics and the Thunder that's going on right now. And I will see you then. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to